game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the man cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Sprinkling and mostly cloudy the rest of the day with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour coming out of the southwest and temps near 69. Tonight we will have a variety of slight fog and some clouds and be quite warm at 63. Slightly foggy in the morning followed by some sun tomorrow and a high 73. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
That Boot Store is celebrating March Madness and college basketball. Janice and Irene invite you to dribble on down to That Boot Store for an easy layup on your favorite Western outfit. Make a winning shot from downtown on your favorite Carhartt work clothes or dunk the savings on a pair of your favorite Western boots. March Madness going on now at That Boot Store. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 till 5:30. Next to Bill Berkey at 15th Street, Panama City. That Boot Store where God is good all the time.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. Your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida. We're broadcasting live from the Bendian's Best Move Studios. Get ready.
Deep center field and heading for the horizon.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Onion pickles, onions, pickles.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Way back and gone.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? Mic check 1 2, check 1 2. Is this thing on, man? It's been a while since we've had to utilize it. Our first show back since Wednesday of last week. This is the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, and we were talking all last week about the Big Bracket Challenge, and we are through the first and second rounds, and only 16 teams remain. So we'll dive into March Madness, thoughts, takeaways from all of that good stuff throughout the show. RJ Starcevic will join us this afternoon at 4:20 to recap us on what went down there in Homestead, where he was actually at the track there for the race. Headed back today, so we'll have him on his cell phone rather than the landline. And then Coach Brian Haddad, I guess, will be giving us our PCB hobby takeover this afternoon. Actually, I got a little start bench cut pertaining to Star Wars characters in there for you. And my depth of knowledge on Star Wars characters is not great, so I just had to kind of Google some Star Wars characters and pick from some of the top ones, and hopefully that will work for you. It is also Monday. With that being said, it's our best and worst of the week, so if you have a best and worst of the week, text that in, 850-215-6290. You can also follow along with us and watch us over here on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch. Just go to your Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch and type in ESPN Northwest Florida. You can also go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Get the app and take us with you wherever you go. We're live from the Bendian's Best Move Studios. Call Quentin at 850-583-0814. James, representing the Tampa Bay Lightning, as am I. It is a rarity that we are on the same page.
We did it last week, man.
But we did it last. I was about to say, I wore the Cubs hat. You wore the Cubs jersey. I believe that was on Tuesday, I believe.
It was
last
Tuesday,
week.
yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing, man? How was your weekend? Everything good?
Good weekend. Bracket bad. We can move on from that now. We don't have to talk any more basketball at all. There's nothing happening in the basketball world because my bracket has just gone too awful, man.
Is that where we want to start? Do we want to start with maybe the top 5 or so from ESPN Northwest Florida's Big Bracket Challenge after we ask Coach Brian Haddad, how was your weekend, you curmudgeon?
It was fine. It was busy.
It was fine.
Weather was nice, but I work indoors, so... that's how it was. But no, it was a pretty good weekend. I got to watch a little bit of basketball. Like I said, we were pretty busy in the shop, but I got to catch some basketball and even a little bit of NASCAR and some Formula One. So pretty good overall, and definitely awaiting RJ's segment here at 420 because I got to watch a little bit of the race there at Homestead.
Did you get an update from a certain driver that you're maybe not the most fond of?
I did. Yeah, I saw him. He kind of got a little, sideways in pit row. Someone hit him. I was, hoping it was a little bit harder, but unfortunately he was able to finish the race. So I'll save his final result for later.
Hey, there you go.
But he finished on the lead lap, so a bad weekend for me.
A bad weekend, all because Joey Logano did not get off of Coach Brian Haddad's lawn. Looking forward to the rest of this week. Thursday, spring training is over. Well, I guess Wednesday would be. Tuesday might be your last day. I know
Tuesday.
We've got spring training games on today. Is it just the Dodgers and the Cubs playing more spring training games?
I think all spring training games will be done by Wednesday. No games Wednesday. Regular season starts Thursday.
Right. It was kind of a joke because not only did the Dodgers and the Cubs start the series off over there in the Tokyo series, but they were actually each other's first spring training game this year. Because I remember watching, I can't remember who the pitcher was, but he took a line drive right back up to the noggin the first game of spring training there. So, yeah, Thursday, though, the Atlanta Braves will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida for opening day coverage starting at 1:55 for a 3:10 first pitch. Then right after that game, we'll get you to BYU and Alabama for the Sweet 16 coverage there, provided by Westwood One. Lots of fun listening to college basketball on the radio. I don't know if the excitement level is the same for any other sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's March Madness. They call it that for a reason.
Right.
I mean, it
hasn't been that mad this year.
Well, not so much with the upsets, but, God, there have been some great ball games.
There has been.
Men's side and the women's side. I watched, I think it was at Kansas State, Kentucky yesterday on the women's side. That was a great basketball game. Went into overtime. Kentucky got exactly the look they wanted on the last second inbound back to Georgia Amore, and she just missed the shot. But it was a really exciting game, and I've enjoyed watching what I could. Florida-UConn was a good ball game.
Florida-UConn was a great ball game.
I mean, so there's been a lot of good basketball to watch, but you're right. There haven't been a ton of just like rip your hair out shockers.
Well, and I think that a lot of that does come down to the Cinderellas and just the upsets in general, right? Like Colorado State taking care of Memphis and then knocking on the door against Maryland. And Maryland, they get a great play from Derek Queen, which a lot of people were arguing back and forth. Was it a travel? Gene Steratore, the Steelers fan, said it wasn't a travel. I watched it today. It was really hard to say definitively that it's not a travel the way that those guys were. Basically, if the referee would have called that a travel, I'd be like, well, I totally see that. They're saying he doesn't have possession, and my definition, which is, irrelevant, But if you dribble the ball, you are in possession of the basketball. This isn't football. We're not talking about a catch. We're not talking about a fumble. We're not talking about, does he have clear possession? Once you dribble that daggone ball, that's possession.
Yeah, this is where you're going to really get into it with people my age and older, and that everything we see now is palming or carrying the ball, and everything we see now is a travel.
Does it not infuriate you? The game's over, right? There's 7 seconds left. It's like a 6-point ball game. No fouling, though. Everyone's kind of conceded, and you see the guy just like carrying it back and forth. You're like, my goodness, man.
Well, when they do that little stutter step move, they got the ball on their hand for 2 seconds. But look, I mean, you get past that real quick. That's the way the game is played now. It's not like it only happens once or twice. I mean, that's the way the game is played, and that's okay. But yeah, you'll hear old people like, me and older than me, they just lament that. So whenever you say, was that a travel? It's like everything looks like traveling to us, so it is what it is.
Get off of his court.
Bring back the peach basket.
There you go. Who was it? Oh, man. What was the guy's name? That Naismith. James Naismith, right?
Yeah. Dr. Naismith.
That's Dr. Naismith, all the way back there in the peach basket days. All right. So we do have a little bit of local real quick. We're not going to go over any of the scores from last week because we're going into a new week. So it was spring break, lots of tournaments, all of that good stuff. So tonight, Mosley's going to be hosting Sequoia. Mosley 9-8. This is in baseball. Sequoia's 5-6. They'll get underway tonight at 6 p.m. 11-3. South Walton hosting 10-3. Edgewood Academy. They start at 6 p.m. as well. You got Franklin County, who is 10-5. They're hosting 4-7 Destin, also at 6. Walton County 3-7-1 hosting Central, who's 12-1. That first pitch slated for 6:30, and then a big one for the county. Arnold 12-5 on the road, taking on the Bay High Tornadoes, who are 10-6, and coverage will start. The first pitch will be tonight at 6:30 p.m. In softball, Rutherford 4-4. They travel to Mosley, who's 3-5, for a 5 p.m. First pitch. Bethlehem's 1-3. They travel to 1-6 Vernon. They'll start at 6 p.m. And then Blountstown 5-5, traveling to Holmes County, who's 5-4, and they will get underway tonight at 6 p.m. Looking at the bracket and how the group is going to this point, you've got AT McCord, who has 530 points. Their max is 1730, and they are tied for first with this guy David Hayes' main bracket, also sitting at 530 with a max point of 1770. Yeah, we were talking a little bit in the break, but before the show started, and it was one of those where I kind of heeded your advice. I didn't do my normal coin flip. I didn't do a God bracket. All I did was an Alabama to win bracket. I did a winners or my main bracket, and then last second I got into a money group or whatever, and I was like, well, I'll just create a different one for this one rather than using my main bracket, and that is the absolute worst of the three, because I took the games that I was kind of 50-50 on and just went the opposite way. So I've got one that's, in the top 20,000, and then I have one that is in the millions. Let's see, no, 20,000. So that's my women's bracket. 209,000 is my main bracket, and then my other one is in the millions. But we've got a lot more going on here in our group. Those are your top two brackets, and as we move further down, you've got iCracky 21. That's a heck of a name. iCracky 21. Their champion was Kansas. The top two brackets, ATM McCord and David Hayes, they're both Florida Gators. Champions. Then you have iCracky 21. They've got 520 points, only trailing by 10 points, but their champion was Kansas, so not looking great. No. You got Valtro RTR. The RTR stands for Roll Tide Roll. Their champion is Alabama. They're sitting at 520 points. And then this next guy, I don't know who it is, but he might have the best name, best bracket name. I think I need to give a $25 gift certificate away to that boot store just on the best name. Afros and Elbows. I think nice. That's a pretty good name right there. They've got 520 points, max 1760. They also have the Gators as their champion. Then we've got a slew of people tied at 6. That's going to be Gator Chomp, LSU Jeff, It Just Means More, Ken McVeigh, Illinois Dave, Steve Mims, West End Johnny, all sitting at 510 points with a compilation of different champions between the Florida Gators, Michigan State, St. John's, who's out, so that's going to be tough to come back from, Houston, who's been making some waves, and then Duke. But so this is the thing. You can sit here and be like, oh, look at where I'm at today. Doesn't matter. Come Thursday, these results are going to be completely different. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you are still in the running for the big prize. Unless you lost your champion, then it's not looking so good for you. How's your Final Four looking, Coach?
Final Four is still together. I kind of picked it out of thin air here on the show last week, and I'll stick with it. I've always been a believer that most years it's 1-1, 2-4. So I picked, I had Auburn, I had Florida, which that one gave me a little bit of nail biter there with UConn. And then I had my 2 was Tennessee, which just felt like bile coming out of my mouth. That's like picking Logano to win. And then I had Arizona as my 4 because I wasn't sure what we were going to see out of Duke, and not feeling that great about that one right now. Duke looks pretty good.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a different Final Four there, but we do have at least, you had Duke. No, you had.
No, I had Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and Arizona.
Yeah. So I do have Tennessee. Yeah. I do have Florida, but I don't have Auburn, and I do have Duke.
Yeah.
So I've got Florida taking down Mississippi State, Michigan State, and then I have Duke beating Tennessee.
Okay.
And then Florida beating Duke to win the whole thing. So, there's my Elite Eight's looking pretty good. How about the SEC getting 7 of the 16 bids for the Sweet 16? I mean, that there was a lot of people when the tournament first started. Some SEC teams went down. It's like,
That's what I was going to start with.
Go ahead. I don't want to steal your thunder,
No,
Coach.
it was that. It was that, and myself included, was like, wow, we're not really showing out that well. It was, looked pretty ugly. I mean, Georgia was down like 27-3 at one point in their game against Gonzaga, and they came back and made it semi-respectable. Texas lost early. Mississippi State lost in the first round, although they almost pulled it out. They came back from 11 down. But then you had kind of the run of, Arkansas and Ole Miss, and then Arkansas gets the big win over St. John's, and then it just kind of started rolling. But right there in the first round with those losses, Alabama looked terrible in the first round against Robert Morris. But it's kind of turned around, and 7 of the top, or of the Sweet 16. That's pretty impressive, and they're looking pretty good. Other than Bama's still a little iffy to me, but some of the SEC teams look solid. Auburn looks really good. Like a lot of people thought they would look, certainly better than they did the last 2 weeks of the season.
Of the 4 number 1 seeds, who has impressed you the most?
I will say Duke has impressed me the most because I thought they had the most uncertainty about their team. So I didn't expect greatness out of Duke. Auburn has looked solid. Florida's looked good, even though they played a tough game against 2-time defending national champions. That's what you would expect. But their back was up against the wall. They went on that great run there with, about 5 or 4 minutes to play and kind of held on. Houston, I'll be honest, I haven't watched that much of so far in the tournament. So I would say Duke at this point, but probably because of lowered expectations going in.
James, going to throw you down on the spot here. What number 1 team do you think has had the best showing so far?
Ooh, I'm going to say Florida. Taking down the 2-time previous champion, big deal, man. I saw it as a big deal, at least. So I'm going to say Florida right now, and I am impressed with how Duke has kind of rallied round injury and has been playing pretty well. I chose Arizona in my Final Four, and I'm not liking that right now.
I tell you, the injury to Cooper Flagg might have been a blessing in disguise for Duke because it has others step up, and it's not like if Duke really had needed him, meaning that they were in North Carolina territory, where we need to win some games or else we're not making the tournament.
Right.
I think Cooper Flagg plays. I think Cooper Flagg finds his way back into the ACC tournament. Maybe not in that particular game, but if they win that one, then he comes back. But it's given some of the younger fellas or some of the role players an outlet to become bigger pieces of the Duke puzzle, and I think that always plays a great role. And then whenever you get your guy back, now all of a sudden you got more sparks contributing to the fire. But also on the flip side of that, when you're Florida and you've been playing some of the hottest basketball in all of college basketball, and then you run into a buzzsaw like UConn, and it looks like you're done. Yeah. It looks like you're done. That's what it looked like going, deep into the second half. And then they find a way to win that game. I think Duke's confidence is pretty high. I think Coach Pearl is always going to have those Auburn Tigers playing to a consistent level, mentally speaking. Houston is a team that really needs to find a way to get over the hump that they've been stuck on for a while. But when it comes to beating back-to-back national champions and a team who was kind of counted out, and then, after the first round, they looked real good. Yeah. I got to say that Florida's probably had not just the toughest road, but has looked the best as well.
Well, it was probably the most impressive win because that's going to do a lot for their psyche.
Right.
They didn't panic when they were up against the wall. And, this is a team that, probably since the loss to Georgia, I wouldn't say they've really been challenged. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first half against Alabama, it was tight, and Tennessee cut it to, 5 or 7 at one point.
Yeah.
But they looked in control on all of those. And so their back was really up against the wall against a team that was playing very well. And they were able to find a way to do it. They never lost their composure. They've really, I was worried about their depth earlier in the year because they were only playing 6 and 7 guys, and now they look like the deepest team in the country. So, I think Florida getting the win that way probably does more for them than beating them by 30 does.
Take your Final Four out of the predictions, right? You didn't even make a bracket. From the two teams that you've seen, now the bracket still plays a role here. If you need one, there's one right there.
Yeah.
Who do you have playing in the championship based off of what we were able to see from just the first weekend? I know that it's tough. I still don't think that I would change anything personally. I think that Florida and Duke, as safe as it seems, and it doesn't feel like I'm trying to risk it to get the biscuit, that's how I see it.
I'm only going to differ on one thing. I think Florida's road from here is so tough.
Yeah.
That they could just be beat up physically and mentally, and I think Auburn is kind of playing with a veteran presence that I just like. So I would say Auburn and Duke right now, based on what I've seen the first 2 rounds and what I think Florida has to go through.
I'm looking at this bracket that I handed you. I'm like, who in the heck filled this out? This is our mascot bracket. I was like, why is Norfolk State picked over Florida over here? James, for you, who would be who's meeting in the national championship based off of the games that you've watched?
Out of what I've seen so far, Florida is just looking good to me. Now, it is a hard road. I'm looking at the brackets right now. Going to go up against Maryland. Then you're either going to get, Arkansas or Texas Tech?
Mm-hmm.
Good games, man. So, right now, if I had to pick number one, looking at the brackets real quick, who's got the easiest line left? It almost, to me, looks like Houston, with the exception of them. They do have to play Tennessee.
Yep.
That's a great point. And is Tennessee going to be able to escape beyond Kentucky, who's turned it on here in the tournament to this point? It's in another matchup, I think, that we've seen with Arkansas taking on Bill Self in the first round, and the second round taking on Rick Pitino. Imagine this thing being Arkansas versus Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
Which we already saw in the SEC championship.
So it's Kentucky 2025 team against the Kentucky 2024 team.
Essentially,
yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That just from the standpoint of a storyline.
Oh, that'd be something.
And this has been a tournament where really, the biggest storylines has been, all right, Maryland buzzer beater, maybe our lone buzzer beater in the tournament.
Only one so far.
Right, all right. Then a team manager who is getting NIL deals and is transferring from McNeese to North Carolina State to follow his head coach in Will Wade. a referee allowing a senior to get in to play for Liberty, with a 30-point deficit. Like, those have been our storylines. Yet, has there been good basketball? I will not disagree to that. There has been. But there just hasn't been, and then we also have what we haven't had in the last two tournaments, which is a player who is vying to be one of the top few picks in the NBA draft playing in the tournament, because we haven't really had that in the last couple of years. You guys are right over the Afternoon Underdogs. You guys got any other thoughts or takeaways from March Madness?
Yeah, one, and you kind of alluded to it. Think about this. I don't know if this has ever happened before. John Calipari in the first round took out Bill Self, who's won a national championship. In the second round took out Rick Pitino, who's won multiple national championship. Well, multiple. I think they took one away. Mm-hmm. Has anyone ever beaten two national championship winning coaches in the first and second round before, I wonder?
James, is that something you could do while we're...
I can go try to find that.
Yeah, I know it's going to be tough, but...
Because you got to look at it, man. Most of the time, there's only like 4 to 5 guys coaching in
a
all
tournament.
of NCAA, NCAA round that have actually won a national title. Because a lot of coaches get a national title and are like, maybe I go now because I've reached the pinnacle, man.
Yeah, and I mean, is there a sport in? All right, we got to table this. Maybe we table this for the second half of PCB Hobby Takeover. Okay. But what sport is it hard? Collegiate only. Take away the professional sports, because I think me and you would have the argument for a Stanley Cup. But is it harder to win in college football, where you only have 12 regular season games and you have your conference championship game? If you get into that, then you've got 12 teams in the playoff, soon to be 14. That makes it harder. Not as many teams has the opportunity to win there. But then also, if you get into the postseason in college basketball, where you have so many rounds you got to get through, and kind of so on and so forth, what collegiate sport is the hardest to win a national championship in? We'll talk more about that at 4:40, 5:20, or 5:40. Don't hold us to it. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we're taking some left turns with our guy, RJ Starcevic.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Sprinkling and mostly cloudy the rest of the day, with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour coming out of the southwest, and temps near 69. Tonight we will have a variety of slight fog and some clouds and be quite warm at 63. Slightly foggy in the morning, followed by some sun tomorrow and a high 73. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Pier Park, get ready to shake things up. Paradise Nutrition is now open. Craving flavor and fitness? We've got you covered. Loaded teas, protein-packed shakes, gourmet coffees, and refreshing drinks. From our signature Jimmy Buffett tea to Reese's Shake, Paradise Nutrition has over 600 flavor combos. Need energy? Appetite control? We've got add-ons like boba, biotin, collagen, and probiotics. Plus, try our donut whole shot appetite suppressant. Paradise Nutrition, Pier Park, next to Target.
Want to experience the ultimate car wash? At Tommy's Express, you'll love our open and bright tunnels, easy loading, flat belt conveyor, unlimited membership, and free vacuums and mat washers. Try us for free. Text WASH 415 to 86697 to send our best wash, The Works, directly to your phone. You'll love the sudsy clean, ceramic wax, underbody flush, spot-free rinse, and tire gloss. Experience the difference and visit Tommy's Express today. Offer valid to new guests only. By participating, you consent to receive promotional and information text from Tommy's Express. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies.
Known for its crispy chicken tenders, flavorful wings, and generous portions, Lickin' Chicken has become a local favorite. Lickin' Chicken's commitment to quality and bold flavors keeps customers coming back for more. One satisfied patron shared on Facebook.
First time at Lickin' Chicken, and I'll return often. Man, them lemon pepper and garlic parm wings were amazing. My daughter and I devoured them. They don't short you on the fries either.
Lickin' Chicken, 1320 North Tyndall Parkway.
There's a lot to be excited about in 2025. And for your Atlanta Braves, it's all about a fresh start.
Michael swings and hits one way up in the air, streaking out of the ballpark as the kid strikes again.
Thursday, it's the 2025 Atlanta Braves season opener as they kick off the season against the San Diego Padres on the road at Petco Park.
First pitch Thursday at 3:10 on your home for the Atlanta Braves. ESPN Northwest Florida.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. It's the Afternoon Underdogs.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Weekdays from 4 till 6. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, and we are your spot for select Orlando Magic games. The Magic will be playing tonight. They have the Lakers tonight.
Okay.
Tip off at 6 p.m. We're not going to be airing the Magic and the Hornets tomorrow night or Wednesday. Tomorrow night will be the Magic game against the Hornets. They've got, we're just going to play Paul Feinbaum on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we'll get to Thursday, the Atlanta Braves opening day. On the road, taking on the San Diego Padres. Should have Chris Sale on the mound. How about the pickup, real quick, before we get RJ on the line? Alex Verdugo, 1 year, $1.5 million.
That seems pretty cheap, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's like when I saw
with his experience.
Well, and it's funny, too, because I saw some Yankee fans chattering like, oh, why don't we re-sign Alex Verdugo right now, you know, kind of looking where our roster's at. And I was thinking, I was like, man, I don't think the Braves would spend a lot of money on Verdugo, but at this point, where we don't really have a solidified outfield until Ronald Acuna Jr. comes back, why not have him and Jared Kelenic kind of compete for a spot? And then they go out and they get Verdugo.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great cover. And like you said, until Ronnie's back, we'll have to, patchwork it together. But look, I mean, it gives you a lot of options with, somebody that you can rely on. And certainly if you can pick them up on the cheap like that, good on you.
It's cheap insurance and somebody that if, when Ronald comes back, it's like, well, we got 27 and we need 26.
There you go, man. We got cheap insurance. You don't hear that very often.
Not in Florida.
Days, not in Florida. There ain't nothing cheap about no type of insurance in here. It's wild, man.
Even earthquake insurance is expensive in Florida.
Well, last week... that's kind of funny. Last week we were having a conversation before going into the show about, how the weather's beautiful and like when it's this hot. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, I sound so stupid right now because I work inside as opposed to I used to work outside. So now it's like all I do is sound like I'm complaining, like I'm out of touch with reality. And then, here we are talking about something like that. It is basically the same exact thing. We've got RJ Starsvik waiting to talk a little.
Yeah, I was going to say, is RJ just hanging on listening to us babble?
He's just chilling.
I have there's a method to my madness because the longer that I have him wait, the longer that I get him to hold on over with us. RJ on his way back from Homestead, Miami. RJ, what's going on, my friend?
Yeah, nothing too much. I am on the way back from Miami. Made a little pit stop in Fort Myers, Florida. Beautiful weather down here. I'm at the Spanish Wells Golf Course. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. I don't either, but I'm here.
There you go.
There you go. Well, let's talk about your best and your worst, as we normally do here on Mondays. What is your best and worst from Homestead?
Yeah, well, I'd say the let's start with the best. I'd say the best was probably the almost sweep that we had from Kyle Larson there at the race week. I don't know if you guys caught in the Xfinity race of how that went, but it was unfortunate the way he lost that race on Saturday. But he came so close to the sweep. But definitely a show of greatness there from Kyle Larson. But I would say the worst is probably let's see. There were some bees that were beating me up on Saturday. I was over in the bleachers there on Saturday, and I got beat up by some bees. So you know what? I'd say that was the worst of my weekend because I didn't really enjoy that.
No, I wouldn't imagine so.
No, you're not allergic, are you?
What was that?
You're not allergic to the bees, are you?
No allergies. They're just not fun. So
how many? Give over under 50 bee stings.
We're gonna follow them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say under.
Okay, all right. Then.
Fortunately.
All right. No crying then. That's not that big of a. No, I'm just messing with you, RJ. It's been a while.
Hey, one is enough.
One is enough. It's been. I was thinking about that the other day. I had a bumblebee, which was, I was in no danger of getting stung, but it was swarming around my head, and I was just thinking, man, it's been a long time since I've been stung. And then I found me some old rotten wood to go knock on. That'll be a while before I get stung again. RJ, give us a recap of the Cup Series race down there in Miami.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race, calm race, nothing too eventful. We only had one natural caution pretty much all the way almost up there until the end, and Kyle Larson was kind of up and down through the field. He had a few issues on pit road, which was the name of the game last week at Vegas, name of the game this week again. But it was him versus his teammate Alex Bowman there at the end. Bowman looked like he was going to come away with the victory, and it was kind of all about who was going to ride the wall the best there at the end. And fortunately for Kyle Larson, he was able to not hit the wall as much as Alex Bowman did. Larson won the race.
RJ, I actually got to watch a decent amount of this race here, and I've really enjoyed getting back into it. And I was noticing a lot of guys, and this isn't new. I mean, they called it the Harry Gant line for how long, but a lot of guys really rim riding at Homestead. I mean, just inches away from the wall, and I know the speeds you can get off the corners, but my question to you is, in all the years that I watched, there were certain cars that were so sensitive to any kind of damage that if you ever got into the wall, even just to brush it, it would throw off the aero on the car. Is this new generation of car, easier on that to where they're not as worried about maybe brushing the wall, or are these guys just that fearless and just putting it up on the rim?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it more often. I feel like even in the old car, they were able to ride a little bit closer to the wall.
Yeah.
But definitely with this new car, it is allowed people to ride so much closer to the wall. I mean, you saw Kyle Larson hit the wall a number of times during the race.
Right.
But it's also been the name of the game, because I was at the Xfinity race on Saturday, and there were a lot of, every car had a mark on its right side. And, it's just a matter of how hard you hit it. You scrape it. I mean, you know from back in the day, the Darlington Stripe's been a thing forever.
That's right.
And I said we needed to come up with a name for the Homestead Stripe, because I feel like that's too similar to the Darlington Stripe, but every car had a mark on the side of it. It's just a matter of how hard you hit it. Unfortunately for Alex Bowman, right, he got in the wall there in the closing laps.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for him, it was just enough to lose the lead. It wasn't going to end his race, obviously, but just in the circumstance that it was, lost in the race. But yeah, I think it's just a part of the new era of drivers. Everybody wants the dirt racers, love running near the wall. That's just kind of been the trend.
All right, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got RJ Starcevic on the line with us. He is the creator of the Instagram page known as Motor Stardom, so go give him a follow over there. RJ, one of our questions that we ask you week in and week out: who was a driver with low expectations who ended up with an impressive finish?
I would say I got to give it again to Ryan Preece, man. He gets out there with another top 10. I would say AJ Allmendinger, which I got to give a shout out to him. Finished 7th. He continues 4 straight top 10s at Homestead, the most of any NASCAR Cup Series driver. So big shout out to him. But Ryan Preece impressed me again. I mean, there's going to be a point of the season where we're just going to expect him to do really good. But getting a top 10, really proud of him and their effort. Was very impressed by what they were able to do.
And on the flip side, who was the driver who had high expectations going into the race down there in Miami that ended up with a disappointing finish?
Well, I know this one because I put him into my 3. Ross Chastain, he finished 31st, and they just had absolutely nothing for a race where Friday night he ran the Truck Series race, did really well. And then comes out Sunday, and they just had zero speed. Trackhouse as a whole didn't have a speed at all, but I was just very disappointed in that one car speed. I mean, they just had nothing pretty much all day. I was definitely disappointed by their efforts.
Well, what do you think is a factor there? How does a team go from, last week they were at Las Vegas to this week being at Homestead? How do they lose that much speed compared to the rest of the field just over a week?
Yeah, it's odd, right? You think, you see a lot of times teams build momentum and they'll be fast one week, fast the next. Like we saw Ryan Preece good now 2 weeks in a row. But Kyle Busch last week was fast, had pit road issues, unfortunately. But this week at Homestead, nothing at all to show for it. So, honestly, I think with how competitive the Cup Series is, this new car, how close the speeds are, the teams are, it's just like if you don't hit it at 1 week, if you miss it, back in the day, maybe 10, 20 years ago, you miss it and you're a top team, you're maybe still around 15th is a bad day for you. You miss it nowadays, you're back there 25th, 30th, like Ross Chastain. Kyle Busch was a good portion of the race. So I think it's just with how competitive the team is now.
There you go. And as always, we've got to get an update on the 22 car, right, Coach Brian?
Yeah, I got excited. I was watching. It looked like he traded some paint with somebody on pit row, but then unfortunately didn't pop any of his tires. Where'd my buddy Joey end up?
Yeah, Joey Logano is, he made the most out of his day in 14th place, but unfortunately, yes, for him, he was caught in some calamity on pit road, facing the wrong way. Thankfully for him, it happened earlier in the race. But again, another finish without another race without another top 10 for him. I believe he's setting records here for I guess, this will certainly make you happy, Coach. Setting records for the worst performance of a defending champion in the following year. So they are looking to get back on track. But hey, as we saw last year, doesn't matter what you're doing right now.
That's right.
It matters what you're doing 4 or 5 months from now. So we'll see. Long year.
How does the Hendrick Motorsports team continue to be so dominant, RJ?
I think it's just like we talked about preparation, and you look at the top 10 of the standings right now. Hendrick has 4 cars all in that top 10. They're the only car to do that because they are the best prepared team. They got the best equipment while all the speeds are so close, right? While all the, any given team can go out there and beat Hendrick every week. There's only one team that has as many employees as they do, as many resources as Hendrick Motorsports does, and of course you have to give credit to the great drivers that they have, especially Alex Bowman, and they're just able to be super, super good every single week to where they are what everybody is working towards to be as good as Hendrick Motorsports. So I think it's just the preparation, the resources, so many things go into it, and yes, while the field is so close, Hendrick's still the top dog.
How awesome would have it been, and he came really close, but for Kyle Larson to have a sweep of the weekend, meaning the Craftsman Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. How often does that happen that a racer sweeps all 3 events?
Well, not since Kyle Busch, and it doesn't happen too often because a lot of these drivers aren't doing that anymore. Right. You saw that more often back in the day. I mean, Kyle Busch was the big guy, always racing trucks, Xfinity and Cup, and now you just don't see that anymore with the rising costs. It costs now to run Xfinity and Truck Series races. The lack of, less Cup teams now in the Truck Series as well. And so Kyle Larson gets the rare opportunity to go out there, run 3 races in one weekend, thankfully, at one of his best tracks. And unfortunately, he basically got the sweep. Saturday, he led literally the entire race, dominated the field. There were 5 cars on the lead lap. Coming with 6 laps to go there. That is how dominant Kyle Larson was that day. And the caution comes out, and he loses it on the restart. And that's just how simple things can slip away from you in NASCAR sometimes. So that was unfortunate. He basically got the sweep. But you know what? When you come so close, I think you're going to do it again. So I think Kyle Larson's going to attempt that again in the near future.
And speaking of bad luck, Ryan Blaney now, 3 straight DNFs. What's going on with the 12 team?
Crazy, man, crazy. Just a lot of issues. Obviously, 3 straight DNFs means you're in the garage, by a decent part of the race. And unfortunately, they've just had a lot of mechanical failures lately. They've had issues on pit road. And obviously, unfortunately, you get caught up in crashes sometimes as well. And so, they were doing so well at Homestead, Miami. They were, one of the favorites going into the race with how well they performed last year in October and in years past. And Ryan Blaney is always that guy. He's very consistent at a majority of the racetracks on the schedule. And they just blow up from 3rd place in the middle of the race. So that was just shocking to see. But I'm sure that the team's going to look at it. And, Penske right now, their most consistent driver seems to almost be Austin Cindric, with how up and down Joey Logano's been, with how the mechanical failures have affected the 12. So Penske, they come out of a championship winning season again, but they're going to have to look at a lot of things as we go here in the coming races. But gutting for Ryan Blaney. He's been doing tremendous as a race car driver.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We got RJ Starsvig on the line with us. RJ is the creator of the Motor Stardom page, and you can find that on Instagram. Give us a recap of what went down in the Xfinity Series there, RJ.
Yeah, well, it was a butt whipping by Kyle Larson. That's exactly what happened. And he, took him a little bit to get to the front because he didn't qualify as well as he needed to. But, I mean, he shot to the front on an absolute rocket. He did the same in the Truck Series race as well. Shot to the front, never looked back. And then in the Xfinity Series race, he does the same thing. He dominates all the way until the end. And then Taylor Gray blows a tire on the front straightaway. The thing that you thought wasn't going to happen. He had a 12-plus second lead on second place. Like I said, 5 cars in the lead lap. Caution comes out, comes to a restart. He doesn't get a good start. Sam Mayer missed time to push on him behind him. And it's Justin Allgaier who gets by and ends up going 2 in a row. Justin Allgaier was still going to have a good finish. He was still going to finish up there in the top 6. But, something that he didn't think was going to happen 10 minutes prior to this, he gets a caution, and Justin Allgaier ends up being the guy to get the victory. He goes 2 in a row. Not a win that he dominated by any means like he did last week in Las Vegas, but in NASCAR, a win is a win.
There you go. A win is a win, and you were winning in the Xfinity Series last week, no doubt about it. You had Kyle Larson, Austin Hill, and Connor Zilisch. Larson finished in 4th, Austin Hill 3rd, and Zilisch in 12th place, I believe. In the Cup Series, you had Kyle Larson, you had Ross Chastain, and Christopher Bell. Larson winning the race. Ross Chastain.
I'll take the winner, I guess.
Hey, there you go. I mean, hey, it all buffs out, right? But we're going to go into your top 3 here for what we've got going on at Martinsville. So start with the Xfinity Series and leave off with the Cup Series.
Yeah, rough average finish there for my Cup Series guys, but I'll take the win, I guess, since this is NASCAR. But yeah, Xfinity at Martinsville, I'm looking at somebody like Justin Allgaier again to potentially go 3 in a row. Very strong at Martinsville. I said I wasn't going to put him in my 3 again, but he was really good at Homestead, and he's very good at Martinsville. So let's go with Sheldon Creed. I'll put him in there. He has some stuff to prove to me. And Sam Mayer, his teammate, has been really, really strong as well. So I'm going to throw Sam Mayer in there. And then over there in the Cup Series, definitely we've changed so much on short tracks. Don't know who's going to be super strong, but I'm looking at Ryan Blaney to have some momentum here. I think Ryan Blaney's going to do very well. I'm looking at William Byron. He's always been strong in Martinsville. And how about Josh Berry? Great short track guy. Has done amazing with the Wood Brothers so far. Not a tremendous race at Homestead, but I think Josh Berry will be strong. I'll put him in my 3.
I mean, that's just kind of going with the trend up until Kyle Larson had to ruin everything. You got two opportunities for a new time winner here in 2025, but all 3 of your drivers in the Cup Series have last names that start with a B. And finally, we'll leave it off with what your high-powered rankings are looking like for NASCAR. Last week, it was Christopher Bell at 1, William Byron at 2, Kyle Larson at 3, Tyler Reddick at 4, and then Josh Berry at 5. What is this week's looking like?
Well, I think I'm going to have to shoot up Kyle Larson to 1. I guess I can factor what he did in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series to that as well. But we're going to put him at 1. I'm going to keep William Byron over there at 2. He was still strong at Homestead, didn't come out with an incredible finish, but he still was pretty solid. I'm going to go with Christopher Bell, keeping him there at 3. Let's go with Denny Hamlin over there at 4. Very strong race at Homestead, and then the Progressive Toyota. I hope you like the paint scheme they had.
I did. I haven't seen that one yet from Denny Hamlin.
It was nice, yeah. New sponsorship announced this week. 18 races as primary sponsor, so they've replaced FedEx, and we got Flo from Progressive over there in the race car in the 11. And then at 5, I'm going to slot in Tyler Reddick there. I think Tyler Reddick was still decent. Hey, he made the most out of his day at Homestead, and I think he'll still be pretty solid at Martinsville.
If I was Denny Hamlin, I would kind of be jealous of the 45 and 23 cars that they keep rolling out, man. They always have some awesome paint schemes or wrap schemes.
Yeah, no, those things are looking really colorful at Homestead. I was pretty jealous of that. But the blue car did look pretty well, too. The Progressive car is pretty sporty, and I think he's going to put that in victory lane pretty soon for you, man.
There you go, man. I'm not a big fan of when he drives the Mavis tires, and it's kind of that teal color. But, switch it up every now and again. It's just, for me growing up watching NASCAR, is like that. I didn't even need to see the number of the car. If I saw the sponsor on the car, I knew what driver that was. And not saying that it's not like that today. I just feel like the numbers are more the epitome of the driver, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say the same as well. But hopefully, maybe we'll get some Flo from Progressive activation at the racetrack. Everybody knows who that is. So we're trying to bring more mainstream companies back to the sport. So we got Progressive out there. The Aaron's Dream Machine returned to the 38 car over at Front Row Motorsports. So we're working on it.
Well, hopefully if Denny does find himself in any trouble on the track, he's already in a good spot because he has Flo from Progressive. RJ, as always, my man, thanks so much for your time, and we look forward to chatting with you next Monday, catching up on what went down at Martinsville.
Yes, sir. Going to be a great race. I'm going to go suck at golf right now, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, man. You take care, bud.
Thank you. You too.
You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm predicting 1 hole-in-one for RJ Starcevic this afternoon. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we'll start the segment off with trivia.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Tournament plays here.
4-3. Got it.
Listen to the men.
The San Diego State Aztecs, for the first time, will head to the Final Four.
March Madness continues.
Miami is going to the Final Four.
Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
The two-handed slam. Yep.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Sprinkling and mostly cloudy the rest of the day with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour coming out of the southwest and temps near 69. Tonight we will have a variety of slight fog and some clouds and be quite warm at 63. Slightly foggy in the morning followed by some sun tomorrow and a high 73. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Ready for a great deal? It's Ready, Set, Go time at Panama City Toyota, where you can get 3.99% APR on the perfect combination of sport and utility in the new RAV4, plus 90 days until you make your first payment. Get 1.99% on the ruggedly refined Tacoma, plus 90 days until you make your first payment. And get 1.99% on a new Tundra, named the best resale value in its class by Kelley Blue Book. Ready, Set, Go.
Offer ends March 31st. For details, visit PanamaCityToyota.com.
Often imitated, never duplicated. The official sports station of the Panhandle. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Fort St. Joe. It is Monday, so we're doing our best and worst of the weekend. Kicking off hour number 2 is going to be Steve Barnes. He'll lead with his best and worst of the weekend. Then we'll dive into who he thinks is going to be winning in the Sweet 16. Then Bill will join us for the PCB Hobby Takeover. And then we'll wrap it up with your best and worst of the weekend. So text those in to 850-215-6290, which leads us to our traffic jam and trivia question of the afternoon. Should be a pretty easy one. I don't know if Steve Barnes is going to know the answer to this one or if he's going to make fun of me for it, but no team has started the tournament as the number blank seed and won. No team has started the tournament as the number blank seed and won. I just realized how...
There's got to be multiple.
Yeah.
So you would have to say, what's the highest
lowest seed, the way that you want to look at it. Lowest seed. What's the lowest seed that has got into the tournament, and as this seed, what's the lowest seed to win the tournament? That's the easiest way to simplify that. Come on now, back there with your daggum PhD in sports radio. You got to help me out on these things on the fly.
But it just looked good sitting there. Blank seed and won.
There you go.
So what are we doing? We're doing the
lowest seed to ever win the
the highest seed to win. Or the lowest number seed that's
never won the tournament.
Okay,
lowest number seed to never win the tournament. All right. James, remember that wording because I'm not reading this trivia question one more time. Well, we're making it up anyways. I obviously found this from a trivia site. 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. We're going to do $25 to Major's Smokehouse, and that'll do it. That'll do it for that. All right, baseball starting this Thursday. The Padres, the Mets, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Dodgers are the Score.com's top 5 teams with the most pressure to win the World Series. In your opinion, Coach Haddad, which team is under the most pressure?
Well, the most pressure is going to be on the Dodgers because they're, I think, everybody's odds-on favorite by far to win. And look, they've spent $7 trillion or whatever they have now to do that. So I would think they're under the most pressure to do it. That being said, they're coming off just having done it. So probably would be the end of the world for them if they didn't. But yeah, it's got to be the Dodgers here by a mile.
All right, Coach Old, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What is the lowest seed
Never to win an NCAA championship?
To never win the tournament.
Okay, I'm kind of confused. The lowest seed who won it was number 8 seed Villanova.
That's correct.
That's the highest seed to win it, right?
Yeah.
Highest seed to win it.
That's fine, but yes.
but we understand.
Here's what we're looking for, Coach. We're looking for the lowest number seed that's never won. So, like, obviously a number 1 seed is one. A number 2 seed is one. So what would be the lowest number that has never won a championship?
Well, I'm going to guess number 7.
That is not the correct answer that we're looking for. Hey, but we'll take the guess. Coach Olds, everything good in your neck of the woods?
Everything is great. Everything is great. Tennis is going really good. We're going to have a county tournament really soon for all the county teams. Bishop and Ney have one team from Rutherford. They're undefeated. They have a very strong chance of going to state. There's a young man out of North Haven also has a very strong chance of going to state in tennis. Everything's going great.
Awesome.
There we go. Well, Coach Olds, thanks so much for the call, my friend.
No problem. I'll play again next week.
All right. Sounds good. 850-215-6290. Say that trivia question one more time for us.
It is the lowest number seed of the 16. The lowest number seed that has never had a team win the national championship.
All right. There you go.
And we know the answer is not 7.
It is not 7. So go a little lower, if you will. Do you know the answer?
It's almost like talking golf. I think I do, but I could be wrong.
There you go, 850-215-6290. So you would say the Dodgers. Dodgers have the high.
I think by far.
You think they got more pressure than the Yankees coming off of the World Series? Now the money continued to be spent.
Yeah,
but the Yankees, though, it's been forever.
I know.
You're scapegoating for your squad.
No, if you're talking about pressure, that's going to be a team like the Dodgers, who has the best roster in baseball. Their backups might be the 3rd best roster in baseball. I mean, they're loaded. And they've gone out there and spent all this money, and you've got all the hype on Sasaki, and they're just loaded up. The Yankees, they got there last year. Yes, it's been a desert, drought for the Yankees back to 2009, I believe. But they also just lost Juan Soto, who was a big part of last year's team. I actually like generally what they've done in this year's free agency, but you wouldn't say they've gone out and made 4 or 5 big moves to where they would be the favorite. So to me, it's still the Dodgers.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say Yankees.
Well, of course you are.
I'm gonna say Yankees just because the Dodgers did win last year against those Yankees. All right, what about for the Atlanta Braves? Is there no they're not on this list right here?
I think there actually is pressure on the Braves. I think a lot of people are in a wait and see mode with Acuna.
Yeah,
and I think they're probably waiting to see can Chris Sale repeat the success he had a year ago too. But the National League is stacked. I mean, the Padres are, despite how awful they've been in the spring, they're a great team. The Phillies are still a great team. The Dodgers are in the National League. So I think they're probably not on this list just because there's so many teams in the National League that, I wouldn't say it's pressure-packed for them. Whereas the Yankees seem to be more what a lot of people think are the odds-on favorite over in the American League, which I'm not so sure of that. I think Cleveland's, they got close last year and they look pretty solid. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot that's going to be determined here, but, and I'll tell you another team, nobody wanted a piece of the Diamondbacks last year. They're lucky they didn't make it into the playoffs. So National League is stout.
All right, Michigan Eddie, you've got 2 minutes before I let you on the line and talk about how Michigan
and the Tigers. The Tigers are a good team.
Detroit
too.
Tigers and the Red Wings and the Pistons and all those things and all of that good stuff. Culver's tonight's having a share night from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's going to be to support a local baseball team ran by my friend Jimmy Horn. So all sales go to the Hurricanes 11U baseball team. So Culver's out here in Panama City Beach, PCB Parkway from 5 to 8 p.m. A portion of those proceeds are going to be going to help out the Hurricanes 11U baseball team. Michigan Eddie, you've got a minute on my clock. What do you got? Oh, Michigan Eddie is gone, and he is wasting his time. Michigan Eddie, you're back. Hurry it up.
There you go.
Go right there. We're going to throw it back to the. By the way, PSA stinks. I don't agree with the grade I just got.
I agree.
Team, but it's staying in the family. That's bull. PSA, you stink. Anyway, that's a bunch of bull, man.
I understand.
Anyway, here's something. NCAA, you stink too. I'm going to Atlanta for work conference tomorrow through Friday. You couldn't schedule the Michigan-Auburn game in Atlanta on a Thursday. It has to be on a Friday at 0:30. You know?
Yep.
Give me a break, NCAA. You stink too. PSA, NCAA, you both blow. and the Red Wings, you're tanking. You know, you could make the playoffs, but now you're terrible. You know? So come on. But at least the Pistons are playing better. We got the Lions and Tigers. Terry Skubal, 94 rated. He should be 100 in the show, bro. Best pitcher in baseball. Just saying.
Just saying. We got 20 seconds. Do you have anything to respond there with, Coach Haddad? I don't know if anyone on MLB The Show gets a 100 across the board rating.
No, I would just say.
Terry got a 94. He should have got a 99.9.
Okay, and I would agree. The NCAA should always consult Eddie before they schedule their games. I agree.
And PSA before they grade my card.
I agree with that, too. I'm on Team Eddie on this one.
Hey. But you know the big one's coming, bro.
That's right. They're just setting you up to give you a great grade coming up on the Merrill.
I need it, bro.
I know.
All right.
Hey, I'm just calling. Okay, go Blues right here. And by the way, Michigan baseball is doing awesome. Softball is doing awesome. Michigan's the place to be. We're taking down Auburn. We're taking down the SEC. War Eagle my butt, man. You know what? Michigan has the largest alumni association in the world. We're going to peg out Atlanta, outnumber
the call you didn't know that you needed. Michigan Eddie, we've got to run to a break. Thanks so much, as always, for the rating and for the Raven.
Commercial break's worst nightmare.
Yeah, there you go. All right, when we get back, we'll be talking with Steve Barnes. We might calm it down just a little bit, but who knows? He might call back in. We'll be back. Keep it locked into ESPN Northwest Florida.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Auburn Tigers advance to the Sweet 16. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong as the Tigers face the Michigan Wolverines. Tip-off Friday night at 8:30 on your home for the Auburn Tigers and March Madness.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
War Eagle. Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Monday. Slightly foggy and partly cloudy tonight with a wind coming out of the east-southeast at 2 miles per hour and a low of 62. Tomorrow morning, look for slight fog with a temperature near 68. The afternoon and evening, a high around 71 and sunshine. Wednesday, quite warm with a high of 68 and slight fog. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Want to experience the ultimate car wash? At Tommy's Express, you'll love our open and bright tunnels, easy loading, flat belt conveyor, unlimited membership, and free vacuums and mat washers. Try us for free. Text WASH 415 to 86697 to send our The works directly to your phone. You'll love the sudsy clean, ceramic wax, underbody flush, spot-free rinse, and tire gloss. Experience the difference and visit Tommy's Express today. Offer valid to new guests only. While participating, you consent to receive promotional and information text from Tommy's Express. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
There's a lot to be excited about in 2025. And for your Atlanta Braves, it's all about a fresh start.
Michael swings and hits one way up in the air, streaking out of the ballpark as the kid strikes again.
Thursday, it's the 2025 Atlanta Braves season opener as they kick off the season against the San Diego Padres on the road at Petco Park.
First pitch Thursday at 3:10 on your home for the Atlanta Braves. ESPN Northwest Florida.
What does it take to live an uncommon life? Here's former Super Bowl winning coach Tony Dungy with today's uncommon moment.
Michael Westbrook was a gifted wide receiver for the Washington Redskins and Cincinnati Bengals during an 8-year NFL career. He had succeeded at every level of football. Then at a relatively young age of 30, he retired and became active in mixed martial arts. Why? Because apparently he never even liked football, but felt he needed to play because it was expected of him. Many of us have experienced the expectations of others, but God made you the unique person you are. If your dreams develop in the process of seeking God's will and fit within His purposes, follow them. He wouldn't have given them to you if they were not important.
Tony Dungy, author of the popular Uncommon book series. More at CoachDungy.com. That's CoachDungy.com.
He stuck his head in the microwave and chanted Hot Pocket. Hot Pocket! Caveman Rick is part of the Afternoon Underdogs.
Hope you're drunk or heading home to a trailer.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife. You're listening to the home for the Coach James Hale Show in the morning, ESPN Northwest Florida. And they're on from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. throughout the week. And then following that, after the Dan Patrick Show, will be the Inside Drive from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. with Ryan Mulvey. You can call or text us this afternoon at 850-215-6290. Also, text in your best and worst of the weekend. We'll be going over those this afternoon at 5:40. Now, on the line with us, it is the senior writer for theRebelWalk.com, Steve Barnes. Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, man, I missed it. What was my walk-up music today?
What was, I mean, we're in a very generic kind of great value.
Muzak.
Yeah, it's I don't even know what the name of the site is, but we just have
stuff.
We get less issues from Facebook over copyrights and stuff when we're playing this.
That makes sense.
It's very annoying though, because I really like the traditional, bumper
I like
music.
That can give some feel to what's going on with the show. I try to pick out stuff that kind of goes with the emotion and the flow of the show, and now it's just like generic number one.
When I'm running the board. Go ahead, Steve.
I found this thing on YouTube. There's a couple of different channels for it. It's like there's a one with a couple of college students. There's like 3 of them with a couple of rappers on it, but they listen to classic rock that they've never heard of. So it's a reaction to the first time hearing the Doobie Brothers, the first time hearing, the Eagles. It's the first time hearing Heart, and they freak out at how good it is. Mm-hmm. But they have to stop it halfway through it because they said we're going to violate copyright laws if we keep playing this.
Halfway through it, I mean, that seems like
messed up.
Seems like they're getting a long time to get halfway through the song, especially those songs. Talk about 70s music, right? Like every song was 7 minutes long.
7 minutes. If you were an overnight DJ and you really had to go to the bathroom, you just put on Harry Chapin. You were free for 10 minutes.
There you go. I bet their reactions weren't as, is that okay to say, James?
No.
No?
And not safe for work.
What if you reversed the cup and the gender? No? It doesn't, that part doesn't matter. So
you can even change the numbers and people will still probably get it.
Okay. Well, can you even find that on the internet these days?
Oh, I can find it for you on the internet.
Another James question. All right. Let's keep.
We don't want to get any of this stink on Steve here.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot of stink.
I can take it. I'm a man.
Steve, what was your best and worst of the weekend, my friend?
Well, to be a homer here, it's a pretty good weekend for Ole Miss. Both the men and women make it to the Sweet 16, and the baseball team sweeps Missouri at Missouri.
Yep.
Another best, Ole Miss, best game alive, scored 40 runs.
40 runs in a series. Daggum, that's like
3 games.
Georgia in game 2, I believe, against Florida.
Georgia's still scoring.
17-2. My goodness. You had Tennessee take 2 of 3 from Alabama. I mean, it seemed to be a pretty good weekend for SEC baseball. And all. Who was it that played LSU?
Oh, God, who did have LSU this week?
Because I feel like they got some. It wasn't A&M.
Hang on, I'll get it in just a second.
All right, well, good for Ole Miss baseball though. What about
LSU had Texas?
Texas, that's who it was. I just still, for Texas, Texas A&M, Missouri, and Oklahoma, I'm just always like, yeah, you could lose. You could lose. I still feel that way. What about you, Steve? Have you welcomed all 4 of those teams into the SEC with open arms?
Yeah, why not? Let's kind of shut the door, though. We don't need like 15 more.
There's at least 2 more coming, right? Don't you think at the end of maybe 2030, at least 2 more coming?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be, on this side of the dirt for it, but I'll deal. I can deal with Oklahoma and Texas. It's just when if you do some stupid, ACC stuff and like bring in Stanford or, hey, let's bring in San Diego State to the SEC. That's when it's going to get, really stupid.
Yeah, Hawaii.
The day that
might as well just bring Hawaii in.
The day that the SEC brings in a San Diego State, I hope that I'm not here either, bro. I think that's what things
State.
are just. Yeah, I mean that's what. My goodness gracious, Florida State's playing LSU right now.
The worst of the weekend.
Oh,
the worst of the weekend. Yeah, Ole Miss scored 40 in 3 games. Ole Miss pitching gave up 22.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's getting to the point where you're going to start playing some different teams, and you're not going to be able to give up 22 runs in 3 games and win. So,
it's incredible.
And the other one, I can't think of who the color guy was doing the Ole Miss men's game the other day, but it's literally on the first page of the Ole Miss media guide in every sport. And I think it's in the game notes. We are the Ole Miss Rebels. Do not call us the Mississippi Rebels. And he calls them Mississippi the entire game.
Ugh.
And, I mean, it was just like, okay, I'm just going to turn the audio off and watch it.
Yeah.
I can't listen to this guy anymore.
No, I agree with that. Despite my inborn hatred of everything in Oxford, but no, I agree. It's Ole Miss.
It's like Northwestern State out of Louisiana. They have it, 16-point bold type. Their media guides do not call us Northwestern Louisiana.
Right.
We're Northwestern State of Louisiana.
That's right. It was interesting. You were talking about baseball there with Ole Miss, and what's crazy about the SEC this year, there's no unbeaten teams in conference play left, but like I was lamenting my Bulldogs here starting 1-5, getting a hold of the 2 newcomers here, and Texas and Oklahoma beat State 5 out of 6. Amazingly, there are 3 teams worse. The aforementioned Missouri, who is probably the worst team in the conference in baseball. But then, listen to this. The other 2 teams that are 0-6 in the conference, Steve, Florida, who went to the World Series the last 2 years, and Texas A&M, national runners-up last year, and most people's odds-on favorite to win the national championship this year, both start 0-6 in conference.
But here's the thing about Florida. They're 18-8 overall.
That's
you
right.
Take away those 6 conference losses, they're 18-2.
Well,
they're not a bad team. Now, they got a bad week coming up.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, they have to go to Tallahassee and play Florida State. I think they're ranked number 4.
Yeah.
And then this weekend they go to Oxford.
Yeah. But you know what's amazing?
So,
remember, last year, Florida made the NCAA tournament one game over 500 and then made it to the College World Series. So, you know, there's still a lot of talent there, but boy, I wouldn't have picked those two teams to start 0-6.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, Georgia, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, and Oklahoma, I think. They've all got 20 wins already.
Yeah.
Texas, Auburn, Vanderbilt already have 19.
That's right.
Ole Miss, Florida, and there's one other one, I think.
They've got 18. South Carolina has 17. Yeah.
17, yeah. So, I mean, it's about to get what Condoleezza Rice talked about in the SEC when they started the playoffs. It's about to get fratricide. You're going to start killing your brothers.
That's right.
There you go, man. Florida State on top of LSU right now in the second round in the women's side of things, up 10-6 right now in the first quarter. Steve, we had a question earlier that we're going to kind of kick the can down the road at some point next week or at the end of this show. But what collegiate sport do you think is the hardest to win the national title in?
Good question. Well, football comes to mind because you got to get out of your own conference first.
Mm-hmm.
But with the expanded playoffs, if you survive your conference, you're going to get in. And then if you get hot, you're there.
That's right.
I'd really go, basketball because, I mean, all the 4 number 1 seeds, they're all in Sweet 16. So that means if you were an 8 seed, you're probably out of it. If you're not going to be a 4 seed or higher, chances are you don't have a shot.
Well, pretty good.
And that's men and women.
I'm sitting here, I mean, I'm struggling with a question, too. I mean, you would think it was football because in the old days where only, 5 or 6 teams could stack up a roster, basically, it was kind of that way. But now with the way the portal is, and like Steve said, an expanded playoff, it certainly has opened the door to more teams that can do it. I mean, we saw technically an 8 seed win it this year. Basketball, God, it's tough. You got to get hot. I always thought baseball was tough because, you run into one, hot pitcher in Omaha and you could be out of it. But then that being said, you just get one hot pitcher in Omaha. And I don't know. Baseball's still pretty tough to me.
But in basketball right now in the Sweet 16 on the men's side,
yeah,
you have 2 teams left who are below a 5 seed.
Right, which is amazing because you'd think with the way everything's opened up with the portal and everything like that and guys moving around to get playing time, you would think that would encourage more, of the lower seeds being able to compete. But you're right, it's been the exact opposite.
Well, speaking of the portal for basketball, thank you, NCAA gods, because Ole Miss got Sean Padula out of Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid is just a spark plug. He's the kid who wears the white headband. More and more fans from Ole Miss are wearing the white headband of the stands. I don't know if he has or who is the manufacturer of those, but give that kid an NIL deal. He's bringing back the headband.
I mean, you haven't even talked about the most important transfer of the week yet, though, Steve. I mean, Amir Khan, Aura, out of McNeese State, following Will Wade over there to North Carolina State. How you feel about that?
Hey, I like that kid. Anything he can. I mean, do you know how thankless a job is to be a manager? I mean, you see him on the you see him on the bench during the game, but what that kid has to do during the week. I mean, he's washing towels, he's washing things that most people don't want to touch. I mean, he's cleaning up the locker room. Yeah, give that kid his due. And I'm proud of the coach. And anybody that can take McNeese to the tournament twice in a row, he deserves that job.
And win a game. Too, regardless of how you feel about Clemson basketball at this stage of the year, still got a dub there.
Well, I tell you what, it's a fun place. I've covered a 1AA playoff game at Cowboy Stadium in Lake Charles. It's a fun little place, and it's one of those good stepping stone jobs. I thought, I mean, they can seriously from their campus see the oil rigs in Texas. That's how close they are to the border. I thought he would be going a little farther west. I didn't think he'd be going to the east. But hey, that's the job that's open. That's the job that's offered. Take it.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. I think everybody always, I mean, I thought Will Wade did a great job at LSU. He just obviously got caught up in a little bit of shadiness, but, you know, good for him. He takes this job. Everybody going to bring all that up, and here comes about the only dirtier coach out there, Sean Miller, to get a job right behind him to steal his thunder. So,
well,
I don't know.
He got the job after that, at that turmoil at Texas. He got the job at Ole Miss.
Well, that's
I read
true.
a column, I don't think it was Rick Cleveland.
Oh, God.
It might have been David Johnson who wrote a column, you know, saying, thank you every team that passed on this guy, and he got to Oxford.
I know. I love the guys that get the second chance. I'm actually rooting for Will Wade. I you know, he deserved to get punished
I agree.
for the LSU, but he went to the sticks, got his, you know, life back in order, career back in order, and give him a shot. Let's see what he does. And, you know.
Same thing for Lane Kiffin.
I agree, 100%.
All right. His penance and went to Florida Atlantic.
Yep.
Well, if you got to do your penance, Boca Raton's not a place. That's a place to do it.
Yeah, that's club fed, you know, on the prison circuit. So
there you go, Steve. Let's rapid fire through these Sweet 16 matchups and see where you're at. In fact, I'll get my pen and we'll keep track of you. This will be your bracket with us here. All right, BYU, Alabama. Who you got?
Alabama.
Bama it is. All right, moving on.
Well, I mean, there's still a 2 seed, so, and I think BYU's what, 3 or 5?
6.
Mm-hmm.
6. Okay.
Yeah, they're the one of the lowest seeds, but Arkansas is the lowest seed. Maryland or Florida?
I still think Florida's playing really good basketball.
I'm sorry, let me interject real quick. I'm watching this game. Kim Mulkey scares me through the television.
Yeah.
Like, that's one woman I would not want mad at me ever in my life.
Imagine being the basketball SID if she's having a bad day.
Oh, my God.
She even looks like, you know, most people look pretty happy when they're dancing. I mean, Kim Mulkey kind of looks like she'll just smack you upside the head if you pull the wrong choreographic move.
She is a tough woman.
I had a friend, Kent Partridge. He was at Auburn as the assistant SID when I was at Troy, and he left to take the Texas Tech job. Well, when he got there, Bobby Knight went in.
Oh, yeah.
Kent lasted about a season. He's like, I got to get away from this guy. He went to West Alabama.
he is causing me mental health problems.
Yes, I think I'll go to the Gulf South Conference.
Arizona or Duke, Steve?
Ooh. You know, Duke's the number one that I'm sort of worried about, but I think they can survive Arizona.
All right. I like that. Not very confident, but still seeing them through there. And then Arkansas.
That's going to be the closest one with the 1 seed.
Arkansas, Texas Tech.
Oh, Texas Tech's going to finally. I'm sorry, Cal. Yeah. Sorry, you're going down on this one.
All right, he's got to beat 2 future Hall of Fame coaches, and then runs into
we were
a
talking about that
Famer.
earlier, Steve. Can you think of another time where a coach has beaten 2 coaches in the first and second round who've won national championships? I couldn't think of one.
Oh, I couldn't even think of a matchup.
Because first and second round would be tough to do, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, unless those coaches went to, you know, a mid-major.
That's right.
You'd think, okay, well, they have a chance to play it. Yeah. But you'd think the guy who went to the mid-major was probably, you know, my age, you know, in the early 60s, and he's going to play a guy who's probably, you know, won a couple national championships at a big school.
Kind of like when Knight kind of went to Texas Tech, maybe. You could catch them as a 6 or a 7, yeah. Okay.
All right, moving on to Friday's game, one you're probably the most excited about, Ole Miss, Michigan State.
I hate to do it. I think it's time to pack the bags and go back to Oxford. I mean, they've been playing well, but they're fouling way too much. Yeah. And if you give those people the free points when they get to the line, that's going to come back and bite you.
Yeah. last week you were curmudgeon about Ole Miss. You're like, getting to the Sweet 16. I was like, yeah, I got Ole Miss taking on Michigan State at the Sweet 16.
But
so
Padula,
here we are.
Padula's going to get his 20, and he's going to hit 3 threes.
The white headband. The white headband, right?
The power of the headband.
The power of the headband.
Somebody needs to put that on a T-shirt, start selling at Rebel Rags.
There you go. Exclusive whites with a white headband. Kentucky, Tennessee. And you can't go wrong here picking an SEC team.
That's my favorite right there. That is my favorite. That's the one game I really want to watch because this is the third time they've played. Kentucky won the first one by 5, won the second one by 11. But that was before Valentine's Day. We're past St. Patrick's Day. These are different teams, and it is hard to beat the same team 3 times in a season. I'm going Vols.
All right, and then we've got 2 more games for you here, Michigan and Auburn. That'll be 8:39. All these games will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Auburn advances, and I don't think this one's going to be that close. And I really hate that because a friend of mine, Rodney Donaldson, who played football, baseball, and basketball at Troy, his brother Duke was, in the late 80s, he was the leading receiver at Auburn. He ended up coaching at Troy when I was there, and Rodney played. Rodney's son, Trey, transferred from Auburn to Michigan. So that's going to be a little fun sidebar.
Oh, man, we always like a sidebar, especially on Wednesdays.
Look at number 3 in dark jersey.
All right, there you go. And then our last game for you to pick, Purdue and Houston, will be our final game of the Sweet 16.
Not Phi Slamma Jamma, but they're going to advance.
There you go. So the way you have it will pretty much reflect, outside of one team, my Elite 8 as I had it picked. That'll be Bama versus Duke, Florida versus...
I feel bad for you then, man, because I never won anything.
Hey, well, so far it's been working, Steve-O. I'll tell you that much.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't do brackets since Davidson killed me with Steph Curry, so it's like I'm not even going to fill this up.
Oh, man. It's one of the most fun parts of the year, or one of the most...
And I had one more worse the weekend.
Go ahead.
The NCAA, sending Ole Miss across the continent to Spokane, Washington to play the number 1 team in the nation. Thank you, guys. Wow. And I didn't get you anything.
There you go. Always a Christmas gift there from the NCAA.
Coach O and the ladies, they're playing good ball.
Hey, there you go, man. Who do you got winning the women's tournament?
I tell you, this is my favorite game besides on the men's side, Tennessee and Kentucky. My favorite on the women's side, number 1 Texas against number 2 Tennessee. I think the AD should put a little side bet on this. The winner gets to claim UT in the SEC standings. The loser has to go to either TX or TN.
Oh, I like that. I like that. They should do that across the board in every sport, only on the years that they play. So if it's football, and it's only for that sport. It's only for that sport. And then you get a discombobulation there of what the UTs...
You see it all the time where 2 teams play for the national championship and the 2 mayors will make a bet. My best food against your best food. Let's bet the name. Let's bet the initials for the SEC.
Let's put something on the line that we actually care about.
And we can let them share the fact that they both wear the ugliest color in the whole rainbow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still 2 different oranges, though. You got
They're
the burnt
both ugly.
orange. I will say that the burnt...
They're orange enough.
What orange looks better, though, Steve? Let's answer that question definitively.
Oh, Texas's.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
I mean, come on. I don't want to walk around looking like vomit all daggum day.
Well, it's not as gaudy.
Yeah, gaudy. I think gaudy is a fair assessment.
There's a reason they use it for caution cones.
Well, let's put it this way. It's so gaudy. I got my roommate Chase a Tennessee cap for Christmas. I got him the black one with one T on it.
All black, too. There was no orange in that thing. Steve, my friend, thank you so much for your call.
All right, brother. I'll talk to y'all soon. And, yep, I hope you got a good retort this week. Love y'all like fried chicken.
There you go. That is Ole Miss. That is Ole Miss. That is Steve Barnes. Ole Miss Steve. He is the senior writer for the RebelWalk.com, covering all things Ole Miss and beyond. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, the PCB Hobby Takeover.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida presents the madness of college basketball. 68 teams, 32 conference champions. But there can only be one. ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for the NCAA College Basketball Tournament.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Monday. Slightly foggy and partly cloudy tonight with a wind coming out of the east-southeast at 2 miles per hour and a low of 62. Tomorrow morning, look for slight fog with a temperature near 68. The afternoon and evening, a high around 71 and sunshine. Wednesday, quite warm with a high of 68 and slight fog. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Is your car looking dull? Is your home's exterior showing its age? Flight Mobile Detail Technician brings the shine right to you. They offer expert mobile car detailing from paint correction and ceramic coating to deep seat shampooing. And for your home or business, their soft wash pressure washing system cleans without damage. Convenient, professional, and right at your door. Don't wait. Get that showroom shine and curb appeal back. Call Flight Mobile Detail Technician today. 850-640-5286. 850-640-5286.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
But I wonder how much time he really kind of put into the playbook.
Where it's halftime all the time.
He may be the cream of this crop of quarterbacks.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Well, they got to do something here, but otherwise this is just going to be another lost season.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida, your spot for select Orlando Magic games tonight. After the Afternoon Underdogs, it will be the Lakers and the Magic. Big shout out to one of our sponsors of the Big Bracket Challenge, PCB Hobby. It's time for the PCB Hobby Takeover. We've got Bill in the building. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James 5. Bill Shriver, what's going on, my man?
What's happening? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, man, doing well. I mean, the weather outside a little bit rainy, but we're covered up right now, so we're good.
I love it. The temperatures are changing. Things are coming around. We got some friends up in Kansas City this week, and that's where real cold is. So I'm happy to be in paradise. I'm happy to deal with the rain because the temperatures up there are just ridiculous.
They're frigid, and like to us, it's like we get 4 or 5 days of 73, 74, 75, and then it drops down to 58, and we're like, what in the world is this? Why does it feel colder than it did on January 21st? My goodness.
I always have fun. We have friends up in Wisconsin, run a card shop up there, and they go, how's the weather down there? And I said, it was terrible. I saw a cloud today.
That's basically what it is. A place where you don't see many clouds, though, is PCB Hobby. Always bright things happening there. What's going on, Bill? What can you tell us about what's going on this week over there at PCB Hobby?
Yeah, it's been getting hectic. I think everybody in the area, Bay County and all the Gulf Shore area is starting to feel the pressure of spring break. I think it just fully unleashed last week. The tides, the dam was holding them up, the winter dam, and it's broke. It's a mass flood of people coming into the area. And so the shop has been super busy. So we're trying to do our best to kind of keep everybody up to speed on what's going on and to keep things moving at the shop. And we're very, we love our tourist visitors that come in from out of town, but we really love our base customers that live here in the area and stuff. And so we're trying to figure out how we can stretch some hours, make some things work to make some more accommodation for the customers. But as always, there's things to do all the time, every day at the shop. A lot of organized play this week. Thursday, they're going to have the Disney Lorcana and the One Piece out. Friday night is Magic, and then Sunday is going to be a big night because that's going to be the first time that they're playing Pokemon organized play with the new Pokemon release that just came out today.
Organized poker play. No, Pokemon.
Pokemon play. You got to catch them all, Dave. Come on.
Gotta catch them all, man.
Yeah.
What's your favorite of the Pokemon?
I'm a Charizard guy.
Charizard?
But I also have my other favorite is Gengar, which is the ghost Pokemon side of stuff.
Okay.
So Gengar's a little pink dude, or a little purple dude that looks kind of devilish.
There you go. So it's like the emoji kind of.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
All right,
so.
cool. Good stuff there. Charizard's, I guess, mine. I would say
I think
just
it's more
because
of
like
huge popular.
Yeah, exactly. It's
a lot of people
mainstream.
know it.
Yeah.
Pikachu's another one, obviously, that everybody knows Pikachu, and so it's been so popularized.
We should have y'all have such a standing in the Pokemon community, right? That we should get Pokemon cards made of all of ourselves, our own Pokemon for people.
Kind of fun. What do they call it when they do the cartoon caricature?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be good.
There you go, our own little Pokemoji.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
All right, what else have we got, Bill?
So today, like a big day today, we're a pre-release shop in the area. We're one of the only few in the area that are pre-release. And so when Pokemon puts out the products, the new stuff, there's a new set that just came out called Journey Together. It is huge. And from a collectibles, because we'd like to talk about collectibles on this segment when we come in and talk about all things collectible. Pokemon is absolutely on fire right now. I mean, it is thermonuclear hot. This is probably one of the hottest periods of time that we've ever had from a collector side of stuff on Pokemon. And I have to go back to COVID.
Yeah.
When COVID was happening, Pokemon spiked super hot. Things got crazy on pricing. There is literally, you go to Walmart, you go to Target, you go to Dollar General, I don't care where you go, you can't find a Pokemon product anywhere on the shelves. And so it is just amazing right now how difficult it is for us, even as a shop, to get the Pokemon. Yep. The card shows, the guys went to Dallas. It's just on flames. I mean, everything is just so super hot with Pokemon right now. So if you're a collector and you're looking to cash in on your stuff, now is the time. It is hot. I don't know if it's ever going to be hotter than it is right now, honestly.
Yep. No, it's true. And, we had the pre-release event this morning, with the stuff out, and there was a line at 10 a.m. on a Monday, waiting to get in. So it was
spring break.
How crazy that.
Yeah.
That's got to be awesome, though. One of the coolest things I could imagine if I'm standing behind the counter is, when you see someone once a year, you don't recognize them when you see a whole bunch of different faces coming into PCB Hobby, right? Yep. But when they come in and it's been a year since they've been there, they recognize y'all, then you're able to shoot the junk, kind of with each other about what's transpired over the last 365 days or so.
And some of these people we actually see when we go out on the road to shows now, too. Wow. So it's actually kind of neat. In that we are starting to make that connection a little bit more, and it's cool. Bill's right. We've been slammed for a couple of weeks, really, and one of the cool things in the shop over the last week, we had some monster cards hit in the shop on the sports end of things. Last Sunday, remember, we actually talked about it on the show Monday. I got the text right as we were going into the PCB Hobby segment last week about the Paul Skeens one-of-one autograph that got hit. Those were some guys from Colorado who were in. They came in 4 or 5 times during the week. And then just this past Friday, a guy who had just gotten back into the hobby after being out for about 15 years, he bought an Absolute Hobby Box football. It was about a $500 box and hit a Drake May Gold Kaboom to 10.
Wow.
These are one of the hottest cards out there, about a $6,000 card.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And
all you got to do is buy a box, y'all.
Right.
Buy a box, and that could be you.
And sometimes it's not the most expensive boxes that walk off the shelf that have the craziest cards.
Right.
I've seen tins. I've seen blaster boxes that are $10, $15 blasters.
Yep.
I
mean, the Paul Skeens is easy $5,000 plus card. That was a $160 box.
Yeah.
But it is that process, though, right? Where just because you pulled that particular card, it still has a process to go through of getting graded, right?
Well, you can sell them raw. You can grade them.
Gotcha.
A good grade will add value to it. And, with one-of-ones, I'm not sure it's as important because it's literally
the only one. So there's not others that can stump on it.
What grading will do is separate you further from the rest of the thing. But it's been a crazy week. I mean, we've sold a ton of singles. We've sold a ton of wax. It's everything. Memorabilia. Certainly a lot of Pokemon, a lot of coins. We've had gold and silver deals going back and forth.
It's just busy.
Comic books.
It's just busy right now. It's a busy time of the season for us. It'll cool down for a little bit. We typically see going into May.
Yeah.
and then we get a little rest.
You get about 2 or 3 weeks in May, and then
that's just for y'all to restock, though. Yeah. That's all that happens. Now, do y'all allow squatted trucks in your parking lot, or do y'all just enjoy watching them get rolled up? It's been wild, hasn't it? I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do, but hey, it's better than a dolphin in a bad tank. So there's that as well. Just try to bring a little Panama City pop culture to you here at the PCB Hobby Takeover.
You know, it's funny. I think some of the construction workers out there have become Pokemon collectors too. We see those guys after their shift sometimes. So
I think it's going to come down. I'm looking forward to when the heat really kicks in, because then they're going to be looking for air conditioning. And then they'll come into the shop and really rip some stuff.
Right.
So
there you go.
Yep, no doubt. And I was thinking, sports releases. We have Zenith football in the shop now, another really cool product. Heritage High Number Baseball hits this week. A lot of people have been anxiously awaiting that.
Super excited about Heritage
Yeah,
High
Paul
Number.
Skeen's rookie in there. Beautiful on the 1975 design. So that hits this week. That'll be the last of the 24 products. And then next week is a huge week. We talked about it. Bowman Chrome U basketball.
It's big.
Juju Watkins, Cooper Flag, just in time. And then we also have Optic football hitting next week. So it's going to be a big, big week here at PCB Hobby with sports.
I sit in my office over at our new location, our new facility. I sit there, and I have a hallway, David, that comes down, and all the streaming rooms, so all of our eBay streaming stations the studios are down my hall. And so I'm kind of at the end of that hall. They all tee into my doorway, and it literally tees into the doorway.
Whenever I came to do it. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So I hear everything.
That's a beautiful place, by the way, y'all's headquarters. Yeah.
I hear everything that's going on the, and so I'll hear one of our sports car streamers, Josh, will be in there, and I will hear. Today I heard something about Wemby. All I catch is little parts of it. Let's go!
Yeah,
it's a 101. So I would be remiss if I didn't say check out our eBay live streams.
Oh gosh, yes.
We're pretty good size on eBay. We do a lot of business on there. We do a lot of streaming. All 4 departments: the sports cars, the comics, the coins, the TCGs. We're somewhere 12, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah. And so we are on eBay all the time.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach Haddad. With the injury that Wemby has sustained, has that not taken away from the value of what his career could be?
Well, not so much what his career could be. There was a little bit of a pullback on some of his cards. The interesting thing is we're in this weird dynamic where, because Fanatics owns his license, and they're putting out cards even though they don't have the overall license until this fall, they're still putting out 23-24 product. So generally speaking, the heat is a little bit cooled on Wemby, but new products supersede that because it's new and it's shiny and it's the next new thing. So it really hasn't fallen off much at all. And, it's more of a fact that they shut him down for the season versus like he had some horrible leg break or, it's not like a Theismann leg break.
But I mean...
Are you old enough for that reference?
Oh, yeah, Lawrence Taylor, absolutely.
I had to think about that when I said it, but no.
There's some things that the history supersedes my age
You're not wrong, though. Yeah, I mean, because he isn't playing, there was a little bit of a pullback, but because there are new products coming, it's somewhat tempered that with Victor.
And that's a great point. But then also, and this, you don't have an answer for this, but these days, I know back in the day, you watch that situation with hey James, you watch that situation with Theismann, right, and Lawrence Taylor, and you've never really seen an injury like that. It's like, how's he ever going to come back? And it never did come back, right?
He may have come back. He was definitely not the same player.
It's essentially like Alex Smith, right?
But yeah, you're right.
Alex Smith essentially had that same type of injury. Well, these days you watch something like that happen and be like, okay, well, a year and a half. When you talk about deep vein thrombosis, that's a situation that they could possibly never. Chris Bosh had that same type of situation, was never able to play again.
It could be. It doesn't seem like the card market is viewing it as that.
Yeah.
They're more viewing it as, okay, we're not going to see him the rest of this year.
Yeah,
and he's still dropping hot products out too. And as Brian said, Fanatics has made a lot of his stuff, his upper end stuff, really scarce. Yeah. So there's a high demand still for collectors to get his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. We talked about Juju Watkins and what her market is like.
Talk about somebody who's hot in the hobby right now.
They got the speaking of that, and I don't know how hot this is going to be, but the Amir Khan, the Aura guy, he's got a trading card now.
Yep.
I haven't seen that, so
it's crazy.
Do you know where they're going to release that out?
I don't. I would imagine it would be a Fanatics thing.
I think it's a Tops Now thing.
Yeah, I think it might be a Tops Now. Like basically, that's what Juju Watkins was, right? It was her throwing out a card.
She is a Fanatics exclusive, and
So that's a great segue into another product that we're starting to get. So they used to hold those things specifically at Fanatics.com. You had to go to Tops.com, Fanatics.com to buy the Tops Now products. And there's several of them that they've just offered to us as a hobby shop. So we're going to start getting some of that product now. So you don't have to go online and wait in line to buy that stuff. We're going to be able to pick that stuff up and sell it. And the cool thing is that the packs that come in, even though they are the same cards, over and over and over, there's other cards that are inserted into them that are parallels and special cards and special issue stuff that will be more collectible and highly collectible. So we're excited about that.
Potentially autograph as well.
One-on-ones, autographs, all kinds of stuff. So,
are you a Star Wars guy?
I have been known to like Star Wars occasionally. Yes.
Who's the bigger Star Wars guy?
Oh, definitely Brian.
I'm the nerd of the bunch here.
All right, well, nerd and Captain Bill for the day. Captain Bill for the day.
We may disagree on this one. This will be fun.
Start bench cut. And James, if you're a Star Wars at all, please dive into this as well. Start bench cut. Luke Skywalker, Yoda, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I have been notified that I spelled that
I'm
wrong.
going to get in trouble. I was never a Luke guy. I was a Han Solo guy.
Okay.
So I'm cutting Luke Skywalker, if you can believe it.
So what does that even have to do with anything? What you just mentioned.
Who's the three again? Yoda, Skywalker, and who's the third?
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. I think this is pretty straightforward.
I'm going to bench Obi-Wan. You got to start Yoda.
Oh, Brian, we 100% agree.
Yeah. Okay,
we are 100%
good.
locked on this. I don't have any disagreement on that.
That's good.
I think Skywalker was a little overhyped on the stuff. He was kind of a little bit of a letdown, I think, and overall of what his Yoda is a master.
You gotta have him. I mean, anyone who could talk backwards and you still understand, right?
Obi-Wan's made a few mistakes, but he's
now
still.
I could really nerd out and tell you some other people I'd add to this, but I mean that's going so deep into the lore it would just it would ruin what little cred I have left.
And again, I've only watched one. I think it was like episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, maybe that's 6. I don't know. I watched it. That was to the theaters. All right, like just never really dove into it. Right, not a big fan of mythical stuff, or whatever this is. I don't want to speak out of turn here.
What are you talking about? It's real.
Exactly. All right. And this is your biggest
far away.
WWE.
What are you talking about?
What's the difference in Anakin and Luke Skywalker?
Oh, one's a father and one's a son.
So Anakin Skywalker is essentially Darth Vader?
Yes.
See?
Spoiler.
So you do know.
Spoiler. 35 years later. Spoiler.
35 years later. So if I were to watch episode, what's the one that it actually starts with? 4?
4.
The way they went was 4, 5, 6. Then they went 1, 2, 3, and then 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
because
why
not?
Ever believe that?
Yeah.
Why?
Mississippi math, baby.
Mississippi math.
I think if you would have, it's obviously become a cult phenomenon.
Yeah.
Over the decades. But if you would have, I think Lucas was always afraid if he would have started from the beginning and tried to tell the story that it wouldn't have been receptive.
Wouldn't have had the steam.
He said he thought the arc of 4 through 6 was the better story to reach a mainstream.
Yeah. So I don't think he ever thought it was going to go beyond.
That's right.
I don't even know if they thought it was going to go beyond the first film.
He hoped he'd get to the second film.
Yeah.
But prior to one ever being or the first movie, he had already had all 6 of the episodes planned out.
Somewhat. He had a sketch,
an idea.
Yeah, he had not finished script on all.
To me, didn't he have it set up as a trilogy of trilogies?
He certainly had through 6. I don't know if he ever. I don't think he initially planned 7 through 9, but who knows?
He had the concept of the entire Star Wars universe laid out, though. So I mean,
that's so genius, right? To be able to take that time.
I mean, it's next level.
It is because I think even with this show, right? Like, there's some producers who will sit there and they'll produce at least a amount of content, and as far as their guests and stuff, they'll go 2-3 weeks ahead. It's like, for me, you get what you get out of me for today. Yeah. I'm not promised tomorrow, so I will work on tomorrow.
There's a lot of great things that are good one time, right?
Yeah.
Like I started binge watching on Amazon Prime Reacher. And so I hadn't seen Reacher, so I watched season 1. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best show I've ever watched, Yeah. And then season 2 was kind of like, kind of a little bit. Yeah. And by season 3, I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. So
yeah, a lot of times they'll have a great
premise. They should have stopped
premise
after the first season.
They'll have a great premise, and it's like, oh crap, to do more of these. So you'll see that.
So
a lot.
Star Wars, I don't feel like that though. I feel like each set of 3. I think you need to put the movies together for continuity of it.
Yeah,
though,
right.
But I think each 3 hold themselves.
So if I were to, let's say that I'm going to take the next year and watch not all of the Star Wars universe, just the movies, right? Would I start with 4 or would I start with 1?
I kind of like it the way they laid it out. The problem with starting with 1 is a little political and kind of laying the groundwork kind of thing. To me, 4 gets you into the characters and into the world, pretty well. And then I always thought 1 through 3 really supplemented 4 through 6 well after you'd seen them. Like it made a lot of sense in laying that out. So I would watch it the way they released them, But
there's a lot of other pieces that tie into it. So if you want the sub-stories and the pull-in stories and stuff, like Rogue One and all the different Disney Plus stuff.
That's why I said not the whole universe, because I mean, like the people who I know who are Star Wars fans, like it's not just this or that.
I've read 100+ books. I mean, it's amazing how vast this thing is. I mean, it really is. It's. Like I told you, I was going to nerd out here. It's something else.
There's a new Star Wars comic book coming out. There's a new series. They are rebooting. Marvel is rebooting the Star Wars comics, and starting May. I think it's May. It's not May 1st or May 5th or May 4th, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be like May 9th or May 7th,
right?
Whatever the Wednesday is when New Comic Book Day. That's when the first new issue comes out.
Wow.
So it's going to be after May 4th. So it's kind of weird, but anyway, that's a good Sidelines thing.
That's awesome.
So. There you go. Well, Bill, why don't you hit us with a wrap-up real quick of what's going to be going on here shortly at PCB Hobby.
So our biggest thing right now, Dave, is our big push on the website is we have gotten heavy into comic book exclusives. Yeah. And in 2 weeks, our team, we're sending a team to Chicago for the second biggest con of the year. It's called C2E2. It is a huge manga comics, collectibles type show for people into that type of stuff, and we have several exclusive comics that we're doing this year for the first time ourselves. So we are launching, there's a brand new reboot of The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Issue number 1 comes out April 9th, that Wednesday. Same Wednesday as the con starts, and we're super excited. We have a superstar artist who did a cover for us. His name is Sajad Shaw. He's out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And Sajad is incredible. And our ASM number 1 is on pre-order right now on the website. You can go check it out, along with all of our other. There's a new G.I. Joe 21 Silent Missions that's coming out. It's a reset, a reboot of the original G.I. Joe number 21 comic, which was where Storm Shadow was revealed in G.I. Joe. Huge book. Probably the second biggest collectible book of the entire G.I. Joe series, other than issue number 1. And so we have a facsimile version of that coming out, again, with Sajad cover, with a bad to the bone snake eyes on the cover. So you can go check out our comic books. We have exclusives that you can't find at comic shops. You're not going to be able to go down to your local place and get them because they're our covers. So.
All right, and then our last star bench cut, 2007 W burnished American silver, a Liberty head nickel, and I'm just kidding. We'll wait until we get Todd back. But Bill, as always, great to see you, man.
Yeah.
You need to come in with Todd. I can always recuse myself from the seat and go in there and kick James out, and you sit back there, and James can sit on the couch, and then we can have you, Julia, and Todd in here.
I'll try to hijack Julia next time and stash her in the trunk, and I'll come over.
There we go. There we go. Well, again, thank you guys. Thank you. And y'all get over there to PCB Hobby and check it out, because I'm telling you, once the tours really settle in for the rest of the summer, you're going to be wishing that you would have bought some of that stuff up earlier. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Atlanta Braves opening day is coming in hot.
Deep right field and buried into the seats.
This Thursday, the Atlanta Braves open the season at the San Diego Padres. Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, and Chris Sale lead a stacked lineup. We'll have first pitch Thursday at 3:10 on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Monday. Slightly foggy and partly cloudy tonight with a wind coming out of the east-southeast at 2 miles per hour and a low of 62. Tomorrow morning, look for slight fog with a temperature near 68. The afternoon and evening, a high around 71 and sunshine. Wednesday, quite warm with a high of 68 and slight fog. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
It's March Madness in college basketball, and owner Jason Mulder of Best Way Portable Buildings invites you to dribble down and slam dunk a deal on a custom-made building. Jason is dealing, so go for 3 from downtown. Best Way Portable Buildings is a Golden Age builder located north of the Old Mall on Highway 231. Online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. Since 1989, simply the best in portable buildings, period.
There's a lot to be excited about in 2025. And for your Atlanta Braves, it's all about a fresh start.
Michael swings and hits one way up in the air, streaking out of the ballpark as the kid strikes again.
Thursday, it's the 2025 Atlanta Braves season opener as they kick off the season against the San Diego Padres on the road at Petco Park.
First pitch Thursday at 3:10 on your home for the Atlanta Braves. ESPN Northwest Florida.
He's so old, he buys his clothes at the same store he buys his groceries.
Are you wearing a grocery bag?
I talk sports in my underwear. I'm gonna wear nothing but a thong and a top hat.
Caveman Rick is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back. It's our final segment of the afternoon. We don't have much time at all. Thank you guys so much for joining in and playing the Big Bracket Challenge with us. 158 of you signed up to play the Big Bracket Challenge with us, and that means the world to me, just us doing this for the last 4, 5, 6 years, and the numbers continue to grow, which means a lot to me coming from you guys.
It means a lot to me, David, that you told me how many players there are because I'm 144. So, thank you for letting me know that I'm not the worst.
But if you ain't first, what are you?
This is how I felt. I'm the sports guy at PCB Hobby. I was 12th for like 10 of the 12 weeks in fantasy football. So.
Yeah.
Dude, we're watching Hagler Hearns here. Florida State and LSU are just duking it out back and forth. This is a heck of a ball game.
Florida State had that 10-6 lead. The next thing you know, we're sitting here having the segment with Bill for PCB Hobby Takeover. LSU takes like a 7-point lead or so. Then FSU's right back in it. It's back and forth. Oh, man.
It is 50-49 at the half.
If we had more time,
a good ball game.
We talk about, because that kind of segues me over to Angel Reese with the whole unrivaled. They win the championship. She wasn't even playing in the game, and she's like... Anyway,
she's working on her layups.
Neither here nor there this afternoon. All right. Best and worst of the weekend. Let's dive into that, and then we'll dive into we'll do y'all's if we have time. If not, it's okay. We've got 6 comments here that we can react to. Adam Goff, worst. Louisville getting whooped. Talking about Creighton there. He wasn't happy with the seeding that he got. Felt like they should have been a 6 seed. I think that there's a very strong argument for that. However, when you're in the tournament, you got one job at that point in time, and that is to win. And it did not happen. And tough. I had Louisville moving on. The best for AG was the regular season baseball. MLB is less than a week away, and it is less than a week away as we start this Thursday.
Cubs are the worst team in baseball.
Oh,
well, right now.
that is extremely fair. They have some of the worst. It's not the spring training hat that is bad. It is the combination. Me and Boston Tim were talking about this. It is the combination of the spring training hat that looks really good with the iconic Cubs jersey.
The baby blue just does not fit the Cubby blue.
Agreed.
It's just too.
I'm with you on that
different
too. I think that the hat in and of itself looks fine, but if you're going to do that for spring training, in the name of spring training, get you a baby blue jersey with dark blue accents.
I'd be fine with that.
I think there's better ways to go about it, to be quite frank, but that's my first piece of advice. Number 2, from Mike Jones, he says, War Eagle, how sweet it is. From Coach Walker, she says, best, all the SEC teams that won in the March Madness. Worst was all the SEC teams that lost in the tournament. I wonder who she's a fan of. Possibly the Southeastern Conference. Nick Baldwin says, best, Alabama and Auburn both making the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1985. The worst, being in first place in the Big Bracket Challenge on Saturday and then 25th after Sunday. Oh, how fast things can change. And I'm just trying to say that from, like, I'm not going to sit here and brag about being tied for first place, second place. I don't care if I was at 100th. I'd believe that by the end of the next weekend, I'd be top 5, because things change so swiftly. The coach's daughter, Leanne Schwarzentruber, best, having days of nonstop college basketball to watch, men and women. Worst, the lazy and pathetic performance of our men's basketball team, Mississippi State, in the first round, with the exception of Josh Hubbard, who is awesome as usual.
Yeah, they made a late charge, but yeah. That was my worst. Our basketball and baseball, and my best, probably our girls basketball winning through. And they got a shot at Juju Watkins tonight, although I think the road ends tonight. USC's pretty good.
I think I do got a little Hard Rock action on some of the women's tournament. I need to just start betting that from now on, because my women's bracket is like in the top 18,000 of them all, because I pay less attention to that for some reason. That's just how it works when it comes to March Madness. Ethan Hewitt, best, sending crybaby Dan Hurley and the two-time champs home. Worst was getting swept by UGA in baseball.
Yeah,
especially
rough.
What was it? The Saturday score, I believe, was 17-2.
0-6 to start the SEC campaign
for Florida, who before going into the SEC took care of one of the top teams in Florida State, 7-2.
And for Texas A&M, who I think they were preseason number 1.
They were,
for crying out loud. I mean, it's Mississippi State's barely better. They're at 1-5. It's SEC baseball is something, man.
It is something. Well, it's that time, friends. It's 5:57, which leads us
Thank
to
you
our...
for joining us for the Star Wars Underdogs today.
Hey, there you go, man. Got you an opportunity to talk some Star Wars, and James, we'll have you back with us. Well,
be back Wednesday, right?
Wednesday? Did we?
Yeah, I think I'm filling in for Caveman Wednesday.
Okay, I didn't.
Just let me know after the show.
Yeah, no,
later.
I'll let you know after the show. I know we did that last week to get me some corned beef and cabbage, and my man came through with that. It was delicious, by the way. I think I did tell you that. Anyways, we got to wrap the show up. Coach James Ellis Show is going to be live at 7 in the morning. Orlando Magic are coming up next. Then Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey tomorrow at 11. Just remember, Jesus loves you. So do I. Buckle up and be safe out there. And Coach Haddad?
Yeah, the Titans stink.
But we got that number 1 pick. They'll see y'all tomorrow. Be safe.
We'll mess it up.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Your exclusive home for March Madness.
And it goes for the win!
We'll bring you every game live.